I got the walk, there's a longboard walk. I know the talk, the longboard talk.
Wherever you're joining us from around the world, welcome to Oz Longboarding, and it's going to be a fun one for you tonight. It's episode 6, and the Smales brothers are back again, but we're also joined by fellow super Grom, Luca Doble. So the Grommets are taking over. But first, a lap around the country, and well, he's moved a little bit further from where we normally catch him from. But Nathan Riverland from Victoria, you're not in Victoria, mate.
No, Weeksy. Hey guys, I'm up in Marimbula at the moment, just escaping the coronavirus-ridden state that it is, apparently. So no, just up in Marimbula, getting some waves. It's really nice up here, nice and warm. So yeah, flying.
Nice one, and good to see you getting waves regardless of where you go, and hopefully they let you go back home. And a little bit further around the corner in the Sydney side there, well, he probably knows exactly where you're surfing and probably knows all the secret spots to go to. Matt Chinoski, how are you, Waxhead?
Yeah, good, thanks, Weeksy. And I was just about to say, Nathan, there's no waves down Marimbula. There's none at all. It's, people should just bypass the south coast and just go straight to the north coast. There's nothing down south, but it's actually epic down there. But it's been a terrific couple of days in Sydney. The sandbanks are just phenomenal for longboarding. Nearly every single southern corner has got exceptional sand. It's opening up the opportunity for a whole heap of novelty spots to break, and the crowds, they're thick, but it's spread out, which is really cool. And I'm going up the coast tomorrow to sample all the other nice southern corners as well. So might be seeing Jack Entwistle very soon, and if I could get across the border, I'd be seeing the Smales brothers and Kira.
Beautiful. And look, it sounds like the further you go up, the better it gets this week. Unfortunately, Jack won't be with us at this exact point in time in Byron Bay. He's got to go make that money, so he's got some work to do. And Nath, tell your mate to stop making so much noise. The camera keeps on to you. So we'll skip slightly further up the case. We'll get to the Goldie, and on the Gold Coast, Big Sean. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Hi to everyone. Hey, Matty, I don't know why you're coming up here, because the last 2 days it has been absolutely flat. Been totally beautiful conditions. From the bottom of the Goldie, we can see right up to the end of the Goldie to Paradise Point and everything. Water's beautiful. A few of the crew went for a big long swim this morning. They said so much sea life out there, including a couple of loggerhead turtles. So, but no waves at all.
Well, if you're going to see some sea life out there, that's probably one of the better ones to see. Tell a young bloke to turn the rugby down, mate, or is that you got that playing in the background?
No, it's not my place.
Oh, someone's got a TV going. Anyway, I know who it isn't, because she's looking very organised and ready to go. Kira Molnar on the Sunshine Coast. How's Noosa been, Kira?
Noosa's actually been all right. Previously, we had some really nice little logging waves, mainly on the open beaches. It's been crystal clear and clean, but it's gone a little bit flat in the last couple of days, and looks like it's going to be a bit flat over the weekend. But yeah, a few tiny little waves around, especially for the loggers. So that's been all right.
Fantastic. And well, it seems like you guys just constantly getting good waves up there. And all our grommets who are joining us tonight, last year's Australian junior champions in the males and female divisions, they all live about throwing distance from Kira up there on the Sunshine Coast in the Noosa area. So we'll welcome back, first of all, the Smales brothers from last week, Kaiden and Landen. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for having us again this week.
No worries. Tell mum and dad not to turn on the meeting in the background at the time, so you don't go all Darth Vader on us. How have you guys been getting some surfing during the week?
Yeah, it's been very small, but there's been a few fun ones up front of Peridian.
And yeah, we've been on the logs for the last couple of days. There's been pretty good banks on the open beaches, like Kira said, for the logs and stuff. So yeah, we've just been having a good time on the logs.
Beautiful. And someone I know who does a lot of surfing, I have it on good authority that every time there's waves, she'll be out there. Luca Doble joins us this week. Thanks for joining us on the show, Luca.
Thanks for having me.
And so what about yourself, mate? Have you been able to sneak in a few surfs around the school schedule?
Kind of. I was in Agnes for the week and only got back yesterday, and it was flat there. But before I left, I got a few on the point, which is good. But it's flat everywhere at the moment.
Oh, okay, so once again, this is where it becomes so important to have a quiver of boards on, and we're going to be talking about that a bit later in the night. But first of all, you guys are all in the sort of junior under 18 category still. Kaiden, you're still in the under 18s?
Yeah, I'm 16. So
Yeah. So that's under 18, isn't it?
yeah.
So what I want to know from you guys is what first got you into surfing? Because obviously you're in a place where surfing is part of the lifestyle and taken quite seriously up there. It's a great little part of the world, northern Queensland or central Queensland. But how did you first start surfing in the first place, Smales boys?
Our family is originally from down south in the Canberra area. So mum and dad decided to move up to the Sunshine Coast when I was little, and our younger sister was just born. So they put us into a program called Surf Groms, which is for young grommets to learn how to surf and all that, and mentored us through that little program. And then we progressed into shortboard competing, and then probably about 2 years ago, we just started longboarding, and we fell in love with both shortboarding and longboarding ever since.
And what do you reckon you find yourself doing the most at the moment?
Well, with these small waves, I've been definitely longboarding the most, and just like practicing for a few competitions coming up at the end of the year. So, yeah.
No worries. And what about yourself, Luca? You're from Agnes Water, which is a bit further up the coast. There's crocodiles and all sorts of things going on up there. How did you first become a surfer?
I started off when Archie, my older brother, started, and we were all in the water, and I just wanted to do what he was doing. But I started off shortboarding, and then, like the Smales, only started longboarding a few years ago. Same thing, just fell in love with it and never went back to shortboarding.
And so, well, that's a little bit of a difference. Obviously, Kaiden and Landon, you guys are still competing in shortboard surfing as well as obviously in your free surfing. Tell us a bit about how does that break down. Well, actually, first we'll go with Luca, because obviously you compete in logging and also the open mal, the more high performance style of longboarding. Which of your boards do you find comes out of the car most of the time on your average surf?
The log. I'll rarely get on the performance one. I don't know. The waves aren't as good for it down here, and I find logging on the points so much funner.
All right. So how long have you been surfing now?
8 years, maybe. Yeah, 8 years.
That's just sickening. You've won just about everything to win. I was just running through with Nathan a little bit earlier on some of your recent contest results. And Nath, what was your comment? She's won everything.
Yeah, she pretty much won absolutely everything. What else is there to win? Seriously.
So interestingly enough, obviously Nathan works at the wave pool at Tullamarine, but you're an ambassador for the surf lakes. Do you guys want to have a chat with each other about that? Who's the best wave pool?
Yeah, no, Luca, I was just going to ask you, so how did you kind of get into becoming an ambassador there, and what's the wave actually like?
Pretty much because it's in Yeppoon, so it's quite close to Agnes. The board riders from Agnes Waters, they got offered to come out with a few girls just because they wanted locals to have a turn of it. And I went down there, and they obviously didn't know about any of my titles or anything, and I pretty much got a wave, saw that I could surf because they didn't think any of us could surf. And then they asked me to do an interview, and I got a phone call the next week asking for me to be an ambassador. And that's pretty much it.
Exciting. That sounds epic. What's the wave like? Is it pretty good?
Crazy. Insane.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't get my head around it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, epic. Have you been in the last few months, or have they completely closed it all up?
They closed it because of COVID, obviously, and then they also are redoing the floors and like fixing up the banks and everything. So no, I haven't been up since December.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the wave like? We've talked to Nathan a little bit about urban surf, and I've seen some clips of some longboarders at urban surf, but what's the Yeppoon wave like? I know you're very proficient on a log. Is that your favorite board to ride out there?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
But because there's so many different waves and wave types, you can ride anything. And there's the Beachy, which is my favorite because it's the best log wave. But then there's also Ockies, break, which is really fun on a log as well, because you get more speed on it. You can get barreled, which is kind of hard on a log, especially at a wave pool. But I don't know, the speed and the flow of the wave it's nothing like the ocean.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about nose riding? I know some people have mentioned saltwater and freshwater and different elements like that in Kelly's wave pool. What's the water temperature like, and what is it? Is it chlorine, or is it saltwater, or is it freshwater?
It's just fresh water, but it's really hard. Even like you can't go in the water you have to take like a block of wax with you in the water, because the wax just gets so slippery, and you even have to wax your feet even attempt nose riding or walking up the board. Wow. But once you get into the pocket, it's insane. Best thing.
You know what you need, Luca? Huey's choice good in wave.
I knew you were going to bring that in. I
could see you smiling, Nath, because I have had a few friends who've gone to the wave pool down in Melbourne, and they've said it's one of the few waxes that sticks. But Kira, you've actually been to the wave pool and used the wax, haven't you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, first-hand proof, it works sweet. If you're after a wave pool wax, Huey's choice is to go.
All right. And sorry, back to you, Landon, mate. You've been down there. We spoke about it a little bit last week. But so what's your take on that as far as how you float and stuff?
Yeah, it's amazing. There's all different waves you can ride. Malibu setting, that's very fun. Like, you can basically nose ride the whole wave and all different types of waves.
I've got a little shot here you shared with me. Doesn't look like a longboard, that one, mate. Talk us through that picture.
Yeah, that's on the left. That's a lot harder to ride because it's a lot steeper on some of the sections, but super fun. Stands up so much too.
I'm just a bit jealous. I don't know how Kaiden feels, but it sort of feels like everyone I know goes.
Yeah. I'm shattered. I was so devastated.
I can't wait to go back there.
I was so jealous when I saw the photos, because they kept it like quite a secret with all the first surfers and all that, and no one was allowed phones in the whole thing until it got released on a certain date. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh my goodness.
And you're a goofy footer as well, so you'd be just looking at that left going, oh.
Yeah, seeing those lefts, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So you get to live in a place where there's amazing waves, and everyone except Kaiden gets to go surf in the artificial waves that are just perfect. No, mate, you feel like the odd one out there today. So to be at such a young age and then to go, all right, I'm going to go in a surfing competition. Tell me how that transition happens. How do you go from just going surfing with your family and friends to let's go in a comp?
Mum and Dad just put us in a few surf competitions when we were younger, and it just and like local board riders competitions and stuff. And we just fell in love with competing, and being around in that environment. It's just like so fun being able to surf with competitors the same age as you, and in the same area and stuff, and all your friends. It's just like super fun.
Do you guys, riding both shortboard and longboard, obviously you compete in board riders and like Mal Club and different events like that. Is there one that you prefer competing in over the other, or do you find it's a different atmosphere at each comp? Or
I think that shortboarding is a lot more serious when it comes to like competing and stuff. Like when you go to state titles, it's like head down, no friends. It's just like you got to compete to make it to Aussies, But, with longboarding, it's just like such a good environment to be around, if you know what I mean. Just as like a very family type environment, and, everyone's friends out there. And, when someone gets a good wave, it's like, you can be like, oh, that was a sick one. Like, and you hear it, the commentators calling out, and you're just stoked for everyone when you're in your longboard heat. And also competing like with my brother in like the same division is also a lot more fun as well.
Except when he beats you.
Yeah. And Luca, do you find that too? Do you like competing in longboarding? Do you find that there's a bit of atmosphere and it's like friendly, or is it like quite serious?
No, 100%. It's a lot more friendly. I went to a shortboard comp last year just to watch, and the different atmosphere, it's crazy. I did not enjoy it at all. But then, I don't know, longboarding is just a different vibe, so much nicer.
Yeah.
And in terms of, we talked about the styles of boards that you guys ride and what you prefer with longboards. Have you both tried as in Luca and the Smales brothers, have you both tried the performance boards with the 3 fins and more rocker as well as the logs, or is longboarding to you just single fins?
Well, to me and Landon, we've basically always been given like just a single fin. So I've never really tried a high performance mal. I just kind of stick to the traditional longboarding style, as I think, we've started from that, like that's how longboarding started, and like competitions like the WSL and, all these other competitions are recognizing traditional longboarding as the better option than high performance. And yeah, we just stick to that side of it.
And how about you, Luca?
Yeah, I used to ride performance, and I'm actually getting a performance board made at the moment for the wave pool. But on the bigger waves and when it's a bit faster, I enjoy it more. But I pretty much only ride traditional logs.
Okay.
Only sometimes I take out the performance.
And what shaper do you work with, Luca?
Ross Wilson Surfboards. He's from Sunshine Beach, just here.
Okay, that's cool, nice and close. I know the Smales brothers, you guys are working with Andy Warhurst for your longboards?
Yeah, he's very good shape and love riding all these boards.
I'll give you a fun fact about Andy. He used to compete at the state and Aussies for Victoria, and he was one of the first guys, along with me, to push that single fin sort of style. Well, not push it, we just enjoyed it. And he surfed it in a lot of events and he did really well. And I used to look up to Andy. He's only a year or two older than me, but I used to look up to Andy a lot. So it's really cool to see him helping you guys out, because there wasn't a lot of options when we were younger. And nice to see him giving back to you guys.
So awesome being able to have Andy as like a mentor shaper, helping us out. This is what board's right for this condition, and I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you this board and stuff and see what you think. And he's really helped us throughout our longboarding like competitive journey and stuff, and just being such a great mentor for me and Landon and helping us out with all our boards and stuff.
Do you know how annoying that is for me? Like when I was your age, I was scabbing boards off of rubbish tips and fixing up the bottom and stuff, and you've got a personal relationship with your shaper.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have that type of opportunity to have a relationship with such a great shaper.
I'm glad, and I know you guys are the humble sort, and that's why you're on the show, because you are down-to-earth people, and I know you do appreciate it. But Sean, these guys have been in a lot of competitions. You should be able to pick their brains on some contest organising type stuff, shouldn't you?
Well, hey, some of the questions I'd lined up have already been asked and answered. So, but yeah, just the fact that you have done both the longboard and the shortboard comps, and you do prefer, for various reasons, the longboard comps. Where do you see your future for you guys going forward? Will it be shortboarding or longboarding?
Oh, that's a tough question. Kind of want to be like doing both or whatever. Like, kind of
whatever path's better for you, I guess,
Not really sure.
Do you guys feel like your longboarding helps your shortboarding? Like it crosses over at all?
I feel like longboarding helps my style a lot, and being able to like turn the board, because the longboard's a lot heavier, and then get shown the shortboard and whip it round harder.
Okay, a bit like Julian Wilson, longboarding, shortboarding. And what about you, Luca? What do you, or how do you see your future? Will it be longboards, shortboards, or?
Definitely longboards, no doubt about that. But I don't know, at the moment, just see where it goes. Just enjoying the time off with everything, and yeah, we'll see.
And following the WSL pathway, or?
Yeah, definitely something I think we'd all be interested in at this point. The future with the WSL and longboarding is looking very bright for us young generation longboarders, and yeah, I can't wait to see what the rest of the next few years are for the WSL and longboarding.
Yeah, I actually competed in my first WSL event at the start of the year.
And Luca competed as well. You did really well, actually, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a really good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
old people.
Yeah, you've all done lots of comps. What's the best contest you've been to?
Oh.
Okay, you've got to have a favourite comp, whether it is the festival or maybe something else.
The best vibes I get is from the festival. I love being able to hang around all the international people that come to Noosa every year. It's especially the Hawaiian crew. It's awesome to be around all those kids that rip, and being able to free surf with them and compete against other people that you're not used to competing against is a great experience.
And what about you, Luca?
I really liked the Noosa Logger last year. It was just a smaller group, really nice vibe, and I don't know, I like the smaller comps where it's more everyone knows each other, it's not as competitive, and it's just a good time. So I really liked that comp.
No, good one.
Yeah.
Got a couple of photos here from the boys, actually. I think from over the years with the competition side of things.
Yeah,
But,
state titles.
That's
how
great.
is it?
That's Agnes.
You guys have got trophies that are the size of yourselves at some points. But what do you think it does to your surfing getting out there in the competition scenario? Do you find you think more about your waves? Are you getting more technical, or you just go out there and have a bit of fun?
Yeah, definitely. It's, wave choice is a big thing in competition surfing, and don't want to give too many secrets away about comp strategy, but, just having a fun time as well, and just like good vibes. Best surfer out there is having the most fun. So
Look at this is another annoying photo. I've never been chaired up the beach. And I'm like,
good day that day.
I'm almost 50, Landon. This is, some of these photos are great, and great to see the style and soul. There's how do you go surfing against former world champs kids?
Yeah, we train with them, and they're really nice kids and very cool.
What was the Japanese guy's name in that event, in that final? The goofy footer. Do you remember his name?
Start with Y.
Geez, he was interesting. He was really cool to watch.
Yeah.
I'd never seen him before, but he blew me out of the park. Obviously, or you all did, but I just hadn't seen him before. Obviously from another country, but he was sort of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was cool to see some international kids in from different countries as well. Like, I don't think we have many Japanese young guns in the ranks at the moment. So it was cool to see a young Japanese surfer in that final.
Yeah. And you make some great friends. Like, could you just about jump on a plane and travel around the world and go and hang out with people you've met through surfing?
Yeah, that's another good thing. You meet a lot of friends through surfing and surf comp.
What about you?
And I actually had the opportunity to travel to Hawaii in mid last year, and I actually stayed with a family, the Rusi family, Hawaiian family, and I stayed with them for 4 weeks and went down to Waikiki, hung out with the crew, with all those kids and stuff, and surfed Queens and all those famous breaks, and it was just such a great experience to be able to surf their home breaks as well.
That's super cool. Did Landon get to go on that trip as well?
I was at the wave pool.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of balances out, doesn't it? So
yeah,
wave pool, Hawaiian trip with the locals.
Exactly.
What about you, Luca? So obviously up at Agnes Water, you're a little bit more isolated, shall we say, from the rest of the world. But obviously people come through from all around the world. So how's longboarding or surfing in general affected your interaction with the tourists?
Yeah, you meet a lot of people. A lot of backpackers come into Agnes. And I worked at a little cafe on the beach. So I met a lot of people everywhere, all over the world. So it's cool.
Super cool. Actually, I've got a shot here somewhere with you meeting one of my mates, Squiley up there.
Oh yeah.
So we claim him as a West Australian. He's sort of a citizen of the country kind of guy. But
yeah, I caught up with him yesterday. Actually, I saw him.
Oh really? Whereabouts?
Yeah.
Up at Agnes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's epic. Hey Luca, I was just going to ask you. You probably don't want to give away too many secrets, but what are the best waves to sort of surf around Agnes? Where do you usually surf?
Just the main point, Agnes Point or Springs. That's where we kind of tell all the backpackers to go because it's a really hard walk. Just get them out of town, which is mean, but works.
Yep. Oh, interesting. Very good.
Savage.
In terms of,
that's mean.
In terms of style influences for all of you Groms, so Luca, you've got a beautiful style. I would say in the last 5 years, one of the biggest surprises for me was seeing how good the goofy footers adapted to Noosa points. Before Sam Crookshanks, standout goofy footers were few and far between, and it was it was really only Joel Tudor and Belinda Baggs who put on really good displays of backside surfing. And now you're part of that younger generation on your backside with the ladies. So who's your influences? I'm really interested to find out for your
Belinda
style.
Baggs is the main one. I remember in Agnes, a guy came up to me and told me about her, and I went onto YouTube and watched videos for hours. And so she's probably the main one. I love her. And also my brother, he's natural, but I don't know, I've always just watched him, looked up to him. He's my favorite surfer.
Oh, good answer. Smales brothers, who are your influences? I know we talked about Kai Takayama last week, but anyone else there that you guys model your own surfing off? Because you don't surf like Kai. You guys have got your own style.
If there's any like goofy footer, because I'm a goofy footer myself as well, watching clips of Joel Tudor when he was around my age, like watching old surf films of him surfing like Malibu and, you know, just all those American breaks is like very inspiring to see like his style like excel in like all of his competitions and all that, being able to watch, you know, his style progress and, you know, the way he surfed progress. Like it's something to look up to be like that. And also watching him win the Noosa Longboard Open WSL competition was very inspiring as well, to see that someone at that age to like come back into the WSL and just win the competition was insane.
Yeah, early 40s. Man, that's old, hey. Sorry, Weeksy.
He won that hands down too. That was,
Yeah.
He was a standout and a half.
Kira and Nathan, I know you guys would all have your own personal influences, but how does it feel to, you know, I mean, Joel Tudor is one of my idols and he's still, you know, 10 years plus on my age, but how does it feel for you guys, sort of being that generation between myself and the Groms, to see that they're looking up to surfers that are 20 years your senior?
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing. Like, yeah, when watching that Noosa comp and Joel Tudor, you know, mid-40s, taking that out, it's pretty inspirational, and you just go like, far out. You got someone that's, you know, sorry, Sean and Weeksy, but he's that old, and then he takes it out like that, and it's just, yeah, inspirational.
I feel like it gives you hope that like your prime surfing could still be in your 40s.
Absolutely.
It's like there's still the capacity there, you know what I mean? Like you're always learning with your surfing, so that is kind of inspiring as well.
Well, I just turned 49 and I get inspired watching the Smales brothers and the Luca Dobles of the world surfing. And I mean that seriously, you guys. And it's interesting that you're saying that you've never really ridden a high-performance longboards. Do you think if the criteria was to change, if it became a case of the judges like to see a vertical re-entry just as much as they like to see a hang 10, do you think that would change your equipment or your approach to the surfing? Or you really like the old school vibe?
I really like the old school vibe, but if that's what they wanted, that's what they want. So you kind of have to change it up for the judges, I suppose.
I think we both agree on that one. We agree with Luca on that.
Because you guys kind of skipped that whole high performance generation.
Yeah.
Like from the log to the high performance, and then you guys have just come in when everything's going back to the log. So I guess you haven't had to kind of go through that transition, whereas I noticed like a lot of the surfers on the tour now are having to change their style that they've perfected for that high performance. And I think being able to adapt to the criteria is like one of the hardest things, as well as, you know, having your own style. So yeah.
Now, when we talk about style, obviously it's interesting to see how the various generations come through. I'm a shortboarder who got attracted to longboarding just because I was commentating at some comps and they got me to do some longboarding comps, and I really liked the way people carried themselves. It was a really good vibe, and I went, I'll have a go at this. And so I actually won a couple of state titles without ever getting to the nose. In Western Australia, obviously, it's a little bit different. We don't have the long rolling point breaks and so on. So, whereas now I wouldn't get through a heat, everyone's adjusted and, you know, the judging and so forth. So, for me personally, obviously, it's harder for me to win a comp now. But what do you do when you're out free surfing? What are you doing on your board? Are you practicing for as if you're in a comp? Are you putting yourself in a heat, or are you doing head dips and headstands and stuff like I do?
I just try like improve on my surfing, like try to do longer nose rides and stuff, because that's like my best thing I can do on a longboard.
Yes, we've seen some of those hang tens of yours, mate. I think we'd all agree we're pretty jealous. But you must weigh about 12 kilos soaking wet. So
Yeah, he's growing a bit now, so he might feel get a couple of nosedives every now and then now.
chuck a bit of foam under the feet. And what about you, Luca? It seemed the Agnes Water crew were very quick to adopt the head dip approach during the contest up there. What's it like out there in the water normally? You coffin rides and being silly, or you're practicing?
I don't know. I go through stages. Sometimes I'll go out there and I won't talk to anyone and I'm training, or other times it's a social thing and I'm not even surfing. I'm just sitting there talking to people. So it depends on the waves and what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't take it too seriously.
Good answer. Now I'm gonna go back and see if I can find these photos, because while we speak about style, a lot of it comes down to the clothes you wear and so forth. And I'm going to do this because I know Luca's going to get a bit embarrassed, but I'm going to show you, turn around.
Oh.
What's that I've got on my shirt, Luca?
No, I don't know. You can explain that one.
So when we arrived at Agnes Water, it seemed like there was a lot of different divisions on. Well, there's 3 different competitions in all different sort of divisions and things. So we had loggers and sups and all sorts of things. And every division, they had a shirt. Every shirt from every division had the logo for the event, which is this one here. And sorry, I'll just full screen that. So you can see that picture there. And of course, that's a picture of Luca on a backhand there at the headland. And then, of course, some of the real life action photos. But Luca, you seem like you're a bit embarrassed about it. How do you guys deal with having cameras in your face? And that's the original photo there of the logo. So now you got some old bald dude in Western Australia wearing a picture of you on a shirt. You know, Smales is probably someone's screensaver somewhere. And even when you're receiving awards and things, it's you know, you're staying nice and humble. Actually, I want to talk to you about that picture there as well, if I can, because that looks like a fun competition. But and there's Big Squally and the rest of the girls. So what happened? You didn't seem like you were smiling super hard there, mate.
I didn't win. Yeah.
How important is winning? And how do you deal with the media attention or the, people knowing who you are, even though you don't know who they are?
I mean, it's cool. Sometimes it's kind of strange having people come up to you, or even in cafes. When I was working, I had a few people come up to me and it's kind of weird. But I don't know. I think it was with the shirt and the logo and everything. It was good because it was home and I had moved to the Sunshine Coast earlier that year. So going home and having that there, that was cool. But then it was kind of strange seeing everyone walking around my hometown in me. It was weird.
So, Kaiden Landen, have you been on a T-shirt before?
No, I've never been on a T-shirt.
So basically,
You're next.
Luca's winning.
Hey, Weeksy, have you ever been on a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Possibly. I've been in the newspaper at Noosa for writing the first name at the Noosa.
That was someone else, a different name.
Yeah, are you sure that was you?
Jason Woods, old Woodsy. But I'm just looking around the room. I've literally got 2 on the floor and 1 on the floor next to me. Pictures of
Framed.
I'm surrounded by Luca Doble at the moment. But my favourite thing at surf comps is to get a big show bag. What's the best comp you've been to as far as getting all the goodies in the show bag, you guys?
I don't even know. You get so many different things with show bags. Like
Aussie titles, we got Nixon watches. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that. Mine didn't work though. Mine broke.
While we're on the subject of getting things at contests, I'm really disappointed for you guys because you've missed out on all the epic trophies. Like if you look behind me, above there, that's a handmade clock made by a guy who does pottery locally. And I used to win our local comp, and I used to get like, thousands of dollars worth of trophies. And now it's like, they're so small, I don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you guys.
It's crazy. I feel like the Malibu trophies are probably one of the best trophies that we have. Owen Surfart takes his time and effort to help us get trophies together. Was it the 2019? male club, and yeah, that's probably like one of the best trophies I have, to be honest. And the festival trophies are probably
The festival's the best one.
the
He
best
does like
ones.
all the on the tin and the corrugated iron,
That was
and
sick.
he does like the spray art. And so there's one that he did that was on the height the motorway here on the Sunshine Coast motorway, where he did this big mural on one of the sheds, and everyone would drive past and see these like perfect barrel waves spray painted on the wall. So it was like super recognizable, and that's what he did, those trophies, which was super awesome.
I reckon that those trophies, that the Noosa trophies, I'll just bring up that shot again there. So that's the corrugated iron that
That's it.
Kira, you're just talking about. But I reckon they were absolutely beautiful. And look, I agree. I mean, I think some of the longboarding comps, some of the like the whalebones had some great ones over the years, and they do vary. I won an over 35 state title, you guys, and I got an A4 piece of paper. And look, it was one of those years. Everything was got a bit messed up, but yeah, a little piece of paper that said "well done." Sean, what's your best trophy, mate?
Mate, actually, yeah, I think the one I like the most I got for being the top judge one year. It's a big camphor laurel thing, stands quite high. But also I got another one that came from WA for, it was made out of whalebone and bits and pieces off the beach. And that was for the surfer having the most fun. And I don't think I got it for what happened in the water.
That's always the award you want to win. But now, Kira, obviously your specialty in your working world as well as within your surfing is fitness, strength, that sort of thing, training. Have you got any advice or questions for the juniors who are embarking on these long-term surfing careers?
Yeah, I do, because I think back in the day, I don't know if longboarding you guys used to train, but I know the whole shortboarding tour has gone into this sort of like high performance strength conditioning and everything like that. So do you guys do anything yourselves? Like, do you have any cross training that translates into the water that you do, or do you just surf?
I just think surfing's like just our fitness in general, and we do like some personal training stuff and all that sort of jazz, but you know, as long as we're surfing all the time and progressing our surfing, I think that's just our biggest form of fitness for both Landon and I.
So like getting that specificity kind of thing.
Doing stretches before we go out and stuff.
Yeah. And did you guys do some gymnastics or something or other before as well?
I used to do like heaps of like flipping and you know that all that sort of stuff, and like got like a few good tricks going and stuff. And it really helped my strength as well in like both my like arms and legs, and just in my surfing, being able to like throw a longboard up and like land it. It really
have
like
the power to put behind a bigger board kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Luca, what about yourself, mate? You don't strike me as being the get up and go to the gym first thing in the morning kind of person.
Definitely not. Yeah, just surfing. I mean, I've got my coach who attempts to make me train, but it doesn't really happen. But yeah, just surfing.
And this is, I guess, where it comes down to where your pathway lies. I guess if you suddenly decided that you didn't want anything more in life than to be the world champ, then you might approach things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I think when I go for a couple of hours surf these days, I wish I knew someone like Kira when I was a bit younger to give me some good long-term like maintenance, let's call it. You know, like doing an oil change in your car kind of thing. So just stop and think about that, because I mean, Landon, looking at your size of you, and you have to ride a 9-foot longboard, same as all the rest of us. Your power to weight ratio must be amazing. So do you think you ever thinking about when you're old like us, or you just out there having fun still?
Nah, I like to think of my future, but like I just go out there and surf and stuff and have fun.
Good answer. They say the surfer having the most fun is the best surfer in the water.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So do you find when you're out there, actually you're gonna, I want to steal one of Kira's really good questions she suggested earlier on, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I want to know what you guys and girl, when I say guys, it's obviously generic, but what do you think about while you're sitting out there in the water? Like, is there a big difference between when you're free surfing and when you're competing, or are you just out there kind of going, where's the next wave coming from? Luca, first off.
I don't know. It depends. When I'm out there just surfing, free surfing, I just life. Or if I'm with friends, I'm obviously talking to them, but very different when I'm competing. I don't know. I get stressed when I compete and I get really nervous. So I just have to sit there and try and not think about anything. So I don't know. Depends. Changes. Can't really say.
And we're going to have a women's only show next week where we're getting in a couple of some big names in longboarding, as well as just some girl surfers you've probably never heard of, but doing great things. And I'd be interested from a female perspective, and Kira, you might answer this as well. I hate crowds, all right? I can be really grumpy and I can scare people and go, get off my peak and all the rest of it. I'd rather not, but hey, it can happen. But one of the big appeals to me for going in competition was knowing that I could have a break like Yelling up in Western Australia with only 3 other people in the water. Is it a turning point for you guys as grommets and, of course, the girls as well? Because I know that the girls do cop a hard time sometimes in the lineup. Did you find that, was that part of the appeal for you guys, you know, as going in competitions to get to go to these name breaks with only a small crowd?
Sometimes that was only kind of with First Point at Noosa. That's the only reason I went in comps there. But everywhere else, I just wanted to compete. So not really, but it does help. But then again, in competitions, if you find your own bank, everyone else just follows. So it doesn't really help.
There's certain people take up a bit more space on those banks than others as well, I've found. And Kira, like, you're only just marginally older in the big scheme of things, but obviously you've been there for that transition where girls were kind of just a little annoyance on the side. I'm saying this in very paraphrased terms, but whereas nowadays the girls are surfing just as good as the guys, and the girls that focus on it surf better than the guys like it.
I always feel like back in the day surfing Noosa and tea tree and all that sort of thing, like you would have to get a wave to kind of prove that you could actually surf and go along it and catch a wave. And sort of like you could see like the girls who were just getting into it and are a bit more timid, kind of sitting on the outside, just wouldn't get a chance to get anything. So you kind of had to get out there and like call someone off the wave to say, hey, no, I can surf, get out the way, sort of thing. But I feel like now it's changed so much, and like I don't feel like you have to prove yourself anymore. Like girls are surfing so well that everyone's just kind of the same. But I think it has changed a lot, and quite often I go out and there's like more girls in the lineup than boys sometimes, which is really awesome to see too.
Well, tell us a bit. So, how important is this group that's coming on next week? Tell us a bit more about them and how that's empowering people.
Have you told them what group it is? The Surf Witches.
He hasn't told us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't told the viewers. Okay, so Surf Witches are coming on next week. So, I wasn't trying to crack the news. So Sean McEwen's actually set it up, but you're a member, aren't you, Kira?
Yeah, I just entered the Facebook group, which is really cool. But I think Sean's been in contact with them recently, so I'm sure he could give us a little bit more of an overview. We've
had, for the last 12 months, huge numbers of girls hitting the water, a lot of them for the first time. They formed 2 different groups, but certainly the Surf Witches, they come down. They are supporting each other in the water. What they do is they wear a blue wristband so they can recognise each other and encourage each other to go surfing and make sure they're all okay. I believe they've got well over 1,200 members. So they'll be on next week with Robin Harvey. So that'll be an interesting show. But it's, you know, from where I am as a promoter, seeing so many girls out in the water, and they are on an equal footing now. Yeah, it is encouraging. And do you find that as well, Luca? Is, you know, you're on an equal footing out there with the guys?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you go out to tea tree and there's 200 guys out there and there's only a handful of girls, obviously it's a bit intimidating, but they don't make it that way. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's not really there anymore. So yeah.
And what about the brothers? Do you like seeing all the girls in the lineup, or are they just an interference?
It's good to see more of them out there.
Yeah, it's cool to see like also up and coming surfers out in the lineup, especially at Noosa, and seeing them all ripping. It's like, I don't think like if you're a girl that rips or a boy that rips, you just rip. Like if you're on that wave and you're ripping, it doesn't matter. Like it's one or the other.
They got
Well
total
said, mate.
respect for how they surf.
Yeah, like gender does not matter when you're out in the lineup, especially out where we live in Noosa. It's just like such a good environment to be around with everyone surfing and stuff, and you meet so many people, and it's a really good environment.
Just trying to find a photo there from the presentations at Agnes, but the junior division up there was a combined division as well, Luca.
Yeah, which is cool. It's always been like that, so it's really fun. It's the only competition where I get to compete against all my brothers, which is cool. So I really look forward to that comp.
And how much do they love it when you beat them?
They don't. They always beat me.
You'll get there soon, I'm sure.
We talked about the preference for your guys' board choice regarding the judging criteria, and the Smales brothers are competent on a shortboard. There's that classic statement by Joel Tudor in the 90s, if it's overhead, ride a shortboard, which kind of makes sense because you can make the most of a wave and it fits into the curl. But I've also ride longboards when it's solid as well, so it doesn't really apply so much to me. But in terms of old males and classic boards and vintage boards, have you guys had a go on any of those vintage shapes? Because a lot of the boards you're riding are actually inspired by a very small period in the 1960s, because longboarding was only around and accessible to people, to the mainstream, very short period of time, from say 1963 to 1967, and then shortboards came about. So we've only got like a 4-year period, but it left this lasting impression. And have you ridden any of those old males, and does that inspire you, or do you want to ride any?
Yeah, a few years ago. You go, Landon.
No, you go first.
A few years ago, my sponsor Ross gave me a really, really old mount. I couldn't even pick it up. It was way too heavy. But I took it out to the point, and I don't know how they rode it. It was so hard. But it was cool to have a turn and see what it was like, but I probably wouldn't take it out every day.
And do you remember what fin was on that at all, Luca? Like, was it a big D fin, or is it?
Yeah, well, it was like, really, really thick.
Wasn't
not like that. It was short. Yeah. Short and had no curve.
Yeah. Yeah, they are hard to ride, and it's there's no changing directions. It wasn't until they started with these like flex fins that they started to be able to change transition.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do anything. Standing up in that.
And this is why when someone gets themselves an old male, a proper old male that does ride, that's why they will never, ever let it go. That's what they don't tell you. For every 20 old males, one of them will be one you might actually want to ride. And that's why they're so sought after, the good ones. What about you, Smales boys? You ridden some proper old males?
I've never ridden one, but I'd like to get on one. They look pretty sick.
And Lando, you do ride like shortboard single fins as well.
Yeah, I have a bit of a collection downstairs.
Yeah, I've seen your boards, mate. I could strap one of those on each foot, I reckon, and go water skiing.
Well, if you guys saw this year at the festival, there was a magazine from Hawaii called Lost Not Found, and they did an article on the Noosa Festival, which Sean was doing the background of, actually. But they did an article on the old male division, and I did a little bit of an interview, and there's a YouTube clip of it too. And I interviewed some Tosh Tudor and a few of the American Groms and Jules from France. And we spoke about what's it like being young and riding these boards that are 4 times your age. So if you guys are out there, check out the link. It's the Noosa Festival, and we talk about the old males. And exactly what Weeksy said, I talk about a few specific ones, because they asked me to hand pick 6 boards, and I knew everyone, and I knew everyone's boards, and there was only a handful, literally like 2 or 3 or 4 that I could pick, because there's some shockers out there too.
Yeah.
Where's your absolute favourite part? Actually, Nathan, do you have to shoot off? I know you did say you got.
I've got to shoot off if that's cool, but.
You got any final questions for the Groms?
No, pretty much that's all good. Thanks, guys. It's been epic speaking to you, and look forward to catching up for you guys in the surf soon.
All right, mate. Thanks for joining us. That's Nathan Riverland from Victoria. He's did have to duck off because he's travelling up the New South Wales coast and they've got dinner plans. But what's you got? You know, speaking of travelling the coast, what's you guys, the Grommets? What's your favourite surf trip you've ever been on?
Oh, I love to go into WA and surfing all the spots around there. That was very fun.
Yeah, and biggest trip for me would have to be Hawaii.
Yep, great.
And being able to surf both longboard and shortboard waves there.
And that's pretty cool. The fact that you got to stay with a family as well. Staying at a hotel is one thing.
Yeah.
Getting in the life.
Yeah, I know. Being able to basically just be like one of the North Shore Groms at like one point. Like you kind of were just like, you go there and if you're staying with them, it's kind of like you are one of the North Shore Groms for that period of time. And, you know, they treat you like family. Like it's so awesome. Like even in Noosa for the festival, they have like get-togethers with all the Hawaiians and they invite all the Aussies and stuff. And it's just such a great environment.
The barbecue at the point. You're not allowed to talk about the barbecue at the point.
Didn't say that.
Not everyone gets invited. Not everyone.
No.
What about you, Luca? What's your favourite surf travel memory so far?
I think a few years ago I took a trip down to Lennox Head in New South Wales and spent like nearly 3 weeks there, and the surf was pumping and there was no one on the points, and I just remember getting waves for like 6 hours straight. Just the locals. Best surf I've ever had. I'll never forget it. It was really
I love travelling to all the spots down there and surfing all the good waves down there too.
Yeah.
There's always a wave somewhere there.
There was one swell at Byron last year. We went down for the Australian titles, and you know when Byron's good, it's good. And there was heaps of backpackers out, but I don't know, I just got every single set without a doubt, and no one seemed to be on it. It was so weird, but
everyone else flailing on the inside.
Yeah.
It's Noosa's kind of like that sometimes though as well.
Yeah.
Like first point is like definitely like a lot of backpackers, and you kind of just like paddle around them.
So I'm going to head in a moment towards what your recommendation for people, younger people who are thinking about maybe giving longboarding a go. Would you, what would you say to someone who maybe if they're a shortboarder who doesn't longboard normally, or someone who longboards just for fun? What would your advice be if they were saying, hey, you know, should I come along to some competitions?
Don't shuffle.
That's actually a really good tip, because you see so many like shortboard kids that just purely shortboard, get on a longboard once, and the first thing they do is shuffle, and I just like smack my head.
Well, you know, it makes me so happy to hear you guys speak like that, because it like warms my heart a bit, because I've been preaching that gospel of the little things that separate longboarding to shortboarding. I mean, I've been beating my head against a brick wall, just going, how good are these little subtleties that longboarding has compared to other forms of wave riding? And the beauty is anything, you can do anything. You can ride anything. No one's going to tell you how to do it. But it's just that feeling of longboarding, cross-stepping, transitioning between turns, and utilizing the length of the board for what it is. Sure, we can do this and do that, but it's those little things that you can't do on other boards. And I'm so stoked that you guys are into that as well. It's unreal.
Yeah.
And on longboarding, you have to read the wave a lot more and what turn or what nose ride to do in that section.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And another big thing is like with longboarding, you can't really teach style. Like I feel like that's a big thing. Like when you're competing in longboard, every single competitor has a different or certain way, like certain style. But, you know, in shortboarding, you can kind of see the way they're getting trained to, you know, like throw a certain turn and stuff. But like when you're nose riding, it's just a whole different story. You can see different approaches people, you know, surf on their logs. Really cool.
Surely there must be some styles or surfers that have influenced your style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember, you know, Ray Gleave, when he was doing all the contest things, every second kid was trying to emulate the drop knee and the hands on the nose and that. So who has influenced you that way?
One person that's definitely influenced me in Landon is Josh Constable and Andy Warhurst. Just like watching them surfing the points and stuff, and being able to be coached by both of them has helped us improve our surfing as longboarders, and
even just watching all the locals out there riding their different boards and stuff.
All right. And what about you, Luca? Who's influenced you like that?
I think again, my brother Archie. Just watching him surf, but then also what the boys said, just free surfers, just the different styles. You can learn so much more off watching all the surfers out there. So I just like watching that, just watching everyone else surf.
What about Whitey?
Yes, and Whitey.
I'm learning a lot by watching your footage from Agnes, Luca, on how to cross step nicely on your backhand, because I still haven't mastered that one yet. But look, I'm just going to quickly run through here because, Luca, you won everything. You've under 18 Queensland title, 2019 Australian longboard title for under 18s, 2019 Queensland logger and long title, 2019 Open Women's Queensland log title, and then you've already this year won the longboard and the logger title for under 18s for Queensland. So, what's next? Open Women's?
Maybe. That's Kira's. No, Kira can have that.
Kira be watching out?
I'm watching out. I'm like, oh no, Luca's in my heat again.
It was actually one really good heat to watch was the Queensland title with the Lethbridge girls and Kira and Luca. That was a really good heat. Being able to watch all those girls surf, it was so cool.
I remember I kind of cooped that heat. I don't know why, but I did.
How's that one wave where you did like a spin?
The wipeout was like the most exciting thing that Luca did. She like nose rode the wave, and she did like a 360 like on her bum and landed it. Like she just spun around and just stood back up. And we're just like, that should be a 10 for creativity.
That was one thing I had was a question, because you guys have been surfing for a while, and like I always find shortboarding sort of like okay, but with the longboard it's so much easier to get hit or something. So have you guys had like any pretty gnarly wipeouts or like hectic surf injuries yet, or not really?
I mean, I've copped like a couple of like logs to like the calf or whatever, your shin, but nothing serious yet.
Surfing behind the rock and smashing into sand and stuff.
A few weeks ago on the last wall at the point, I think Kaiden was on a set. We had a set. I was on the first wave. He was on the second wave. And he came down and I had just fallen on my fin before. And I cut my whole ankle, and then he comes down, gets caught under his board.
I was like sitting down too. I remember that. I was like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, I've still got a scar from that. So that was probably the worst one.
Oh, ouch.
All right, so I'm going to pose a question because obviously as the Queensland champ, Luca, you'll be going to nationals.
Yeah.
And Landon, you're the Queensland champ, but Kaiden also obviously 1 and 2. Is that right? You made the Queensland champ?
So I won the longboard division at state titles this year, and Landon both got runner-up in the logger and the longboard.
Yeah, right. And of course, you guys are also, just so the viewers know, so Kaiden, you won the under 18 boys and shortboard and second in the under 18 longboard at Agnes in 2018. So you guys are actually getting really good results on both sides of the field. But of course, Landon was the youngest ever under 18 national champ. Are you going to take him at this year's nationals? That's what I need to know.
I hope so. I hope that both Landon and I can win a title in each division. That'll be pretty cool. That's like our goal, to get one Aussie title each this year.
You know what my goal is, guys, because I'm sensing something brewing here. Kira, did you qualify for the Aussies?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my state titles are not for a couple of months yet, but if I manage to sneak into the Aussies, how about we do an Oz Longboarding live all together?
Oh, that would actually be pretty cool.
I'm jumping the gun here. I haven't asked Weeksy or Sean yet. I'm sure, who knows? They might be with us.
Well,
it is down to Port Macquarie, is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's we could do a live night, and we could all be together, and we could have a live audience. We could do it with all sorts of different microphones and stuff. That could be cool.
That'd be unreal, and we can just grab all sorts of people and talk about what's going on. But that'd be a lot of fun. I think we've only got 2. We've already had one state round, so we've got another one which is coming up next week or something. So I could possibly even make the team and come over and that would be. But if in WA they don't score anything for headstands, otherwise I'd be in with a shot. But certainly, well, it sounds like you guys are the future of the sport. And having seen you personally in the flesh surfing and seen how you carry yourselves in and out of the water, I must say I feel like our sport's in great hands. So keep it up, keep your results going, but stay humble and you'll have a great life, I reckon, regardless of what you do with competitions. But are we going to see one of you guys being world champ?
That's plan.
Well, I like that.
Hopefully all three of us. Let's just...
4-4.
Well, and Luca, if they do a joint Australian title where it's girls and boys in the same final, you're going to take them out?
No chance.
I know I can have a couple of shockers every now and then.
Well, I think Sean's put his hand up to organise a mixed sexes competition at the wave pool down in Melbourne. So maybe we can have a tour and we can go up in Yeppoon as well. Sean's shaking his head. He forgot that he says it.
I'd love that. Hey, it'd be such an equal footing to have males and females out there in the wave pool, because no hassling. Yeah, it's all so equal.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, I think with the older, when I say the old criteria, the criteria that I started longboarding in, where vertical re-entries and it was sort of more high performance, and then it was probably a bit too shortboardy. Obviously nowadays that sort of raw power element's been taken out of it. Luca, I reckon you're a chance to beat these guys on any given day of the week, mate. So I, for one, would really like to see wave pool longboard on traditional longboarding. I think the scales have been balanced, and I reckon I'd be putting a bit of money both ways. Let's say that. Well, it's been fantastic having you guys on the show. I think we've got to sign off, because I know a couple of our older viewers, once we go past an hour, they start to tell me off. So, any final thoughts from the panel? Sean, looks like you got something on your chest.
Yeah. Hey, I just, for all our guests tonight, apart from thanks for being here, who's your favourite older surfer? And I'm talking about someone over 49. Who's your favourite over 49?
To be honest, being at Noosa Mal Club for the last year, just looking up to all of those local surfers, such as who could I?
You guys have got like Hayden Swan.
Yeah.
Who else is in that division?
Marto.
Yeah, Marto.
Yeah, he's a great bloke, and just all those people. They're just such awesome people, that whole Noosa.
You better say Glenn Gower. You'd be very up.
Yeah.
But hi, Glenn. I was so sure that his daughter was going to knock him out of his heat up at Agnes, and I was just Jade, next time you'll get him. But what about you, Matt? You obviously well known for your historical knowledge of the sport. How exciting is it to see the future right here in front of us?
Oh, it's so, that's why, look, that's when Sean first contacted me about this. This is exactly why I wanted to do it, because there was never a platform like this, when I was the Groms age, and it's just awesome to see it grow. And I started, this year was my 20th year in a row at Noosa Festival. I started when I was just into double digits. And yeah, I started with the likes of guys like Julian, and it was like Harrison and Bowie Pollard and all sorts of guys. And, we just developed this bond and this friendship. We rode shortboards, high performance boards, longboards, went right through. Even guys like your shapers, Andy Borhurst, and looking up to some of the best role models. I just was always so fortunate that I had longboarding and surfing there. And yeah, as you guys said, the mateship you have at the competition, I'm telling you now, you won't get that with anything else in life. And there's not much where a 16-year-old and a 66-year-old can have equal camaraderie and friendship, and all the stuff that happens in the ocean, whether your parents or your school, or when you're older, your wife or money, it's just left on the sand, and it's just you guys enjoying it. You're living in the moment. So it's so cool that we have this platform, and I can't wait to give you all a big high five and share some waves with you.
And Kira, obviously you are at the pointy end of the women's side of things, so I guess it's that tricky one of giving Lucas some advice, but not too much, huh?
I don't know if she needs any more advice. She's like hell stealth.
Tell her about
What
that special wax that makes bubbles and put it on the board.
Yeah, that special wax, the soap one. Nah.
Soap brand.
No, it's really awesome. It's awesome because all these guys live here too. So it's been wicked, like being able to surf with everyone and all. Like it's a great younger crew we've got here in Noosa. Obviously some great longboard waves to surf on, and obviously a great place to move down from Agnes as well. But yeah, it's awesome to see these guys shredding in the lineup. And honestly, like I'm taking a few notes from them as well all the time. So yeah.
Nice. And speaking from a staff member sort of thing, from a contest point of view, doing the commentating and stuff, you guys have been an absolute pleasure for me to watch, and doing a bit of filming and stuff as well. It's great to point a camera at you guys. You're always doing something interesting, and you really are exemplifying what longboarding is all about. So my hat's off to you as away my bald spots, but I look forward to announcing your names, I should say, over the microphone and handing you trophies and stuff for many, many years to come. So thank you so much, and wherever you're watching from, give us a round of applause. The Smales brothers, Kaiden and Landen up there in Noosa, and of course the lovely Luca Doble, t-shirt model. Thanks heaps for joining us. I'll put us out the Brady Bunch mode so everyone can see us all, and bit of a wave and goodbye to your mums. Thanks for joining us for episode 6. We'll see you next week for ladies' night. Hang on, what have you got, Sean?
We've still got the photo comp running and the best question.
Yeah, we didn't get any questions this week because we took over all of that. And there's 5 days left in the month. So what we'll do is we'll give you till the end of the month to submit your photos. Less is sometimes more, folks. Just saying. Choose maybe your top 5 or 6 longboarding photos and get them in, because there's a great backpack just on the ground over there to give away to someone. So been loving seeing all those photos, and we'll announce the winner either on Facebook or during the show next week. Next week, join us, of course, Robin all the way from Crescent Head, and our founder and also another group member of the Surf Witches. Looking forward to that, and we look forward to your company wherever you're joining us from. See you next time.
See you guys. Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thank you.